Hi folks, I hope you're well. Just a quick video. Okay, I've done videos very much over the time talking about where the church is. Now the reality is, yes, over the last, gotta say, 6 decades, probably at least 6 decades. Yeah, over the last 6 decades, the church has gradually, over that time, removed God from the church. Gradually. It hasn't been one decision or a number, it's been thousands of decisions that have been made that have led to this point. Was it ever intentional from the point of view of people in the church to remove God? No, of course not. I don't think they've ever actually realised that they've actually done that, but they have. Decisions are made constantly without going to God. When you bring something of God to people, they never check with the word of God. Never. I haven't come across anyone who's actually bothered to look at the word of God. Even like this new church, this vineyard. No, when I spoke to the pastor on Friday, I said a lot of things to him. Not at one point did he ask me whether it is in the word of God. Not at one point did he check in the word of God. He didn't care. Well, he didn't care to check. And the reason why he didn't care to check is because he didn't care to believe. No. When people don't care to believe, they don't care to check. And this is where the church is. This is where church people are. Yeah, the reality is, and it is very, very true. Yes, we are left here for a purpose, and the purpose is those people outside of church. And those people inside the church, outside and in. Everyone from every different belief system. They all need to be shown the way. That's the reality. They need to be shown the way, and yeah. Yeah. None of it's easy. None of it's easy. People have made decisions, and yeah, the reality is their decisions are what they are. But yeah, it is incredibly important for people to look. When you die, there are 2 destinations. And the reality is, as you're living, you're deciding as you're living where you're going. Right? Now, when I say you're deciding as you're living where you're going, by your decisions, you decide where you go. By your reactions, by what you do, by what you say, yeah, all those things, you're deciding where you're going when you die, whether it's to heaven or hell. When I say hell is going to be pretty full of churchy people, people that have gone to church or go into church when they die. I don't mean they die in church, but they're members of a church, attending church on a regular basis when they die and end up in hell. That is going to be a reality. As I say, we've got this foolish person who is determined to keep giving a thumbs down, not understanding, even though I've made it clear in the description when I say thank you for the thumbs down, that is hate. Because it is. That's called judgment. That's called condemnation. Even though it's a tiny condemnation, it is still condemnation. There's judgment and there's condemnation in that. Therefore, that person will face judgment and condemnation. Right? As I say, it's such an incredibly stupid thing to do, But this is the little decisions that people make that decide where they go. I know I don't need to worry about that thumbs down person. That person has already chosen a path by the way they do things, and I'm never going to meet them in heaven because they're not going. Because they don't care about God. What they care about is if you say anything negative about church, they have to come and give a thumbs down, even though they can't tell you you're wrong, because this person has never bothered to try and tell me that I'm wrong. Why? Because they don't care. They don't care to check any of it to see if it's true. They don't care about going to God about anything to see if it's true. No. What they care about, all they care about, is people liking what they do. So giving a dislike means when they say to someone, oh, someone was talking about a church in a nasty way, I gave them a dislike. People will say, oh, well done. You're standing up for the church. Where does it say in the Bible you should be standing up for the church? Or even standing up for God? No. It ain't your job. God is big enough to stand up for himself. That's the reality. God is more than big enough to stand. If a comedian makes a joke about God, God doesn't care. He doesn't get offended by that. If that comedian really believes what he's saying, that's the problem of the comedian, not the problem of God. God doesn't make that his problem. He doesn't get offended by that. He understands. Okay? If a person wants to say that sort of stuff, they can do. Whether it's a joke or whether that's what's in them, it doesn't matter. Now, it matters to the person. It shouldn't matter to us. You shouldn't get offended. If you choose to get offended, a thumbs down is showing that you're offended by something, especially when you don't actually bother to explain why. If you're giving thumbs down all the time, you bother to do that, don't you? But you never bother to actually say why. Then, okay. Enjoy. Because, again, I will tell everyone now, if you are judged and condemned, there's only one place you can go to, and that's hell. Only one place. There is never, you can't go to heaven if you are judged and condemned. It's impossible. The only way to go to heaven is not being judged or condemned. Because for one sin, you go to hell. For one sin, you go to hell. Right? It's like idiots that try and uncover other people's sin. It's such an incredibly stupid, reckless. What reckless is not even anywhere near explaining it. It's far more dangerous than reckless. But it's what people do. Yeah. It is what people do. That's the reality. And as I say, it's such an incredibly stupid thing to do. To condemn yourself for eternity for a few likes, which is what people do. You have on YouTube, all over YouTube, videos that are saying, oh, the left is evil, the right is evil, for likes. Just for likes. That's all it is. For people to comment and like. That's all it is. That's the reason. Judging people, condemning people for likes. So therefore, yeah. It's where we are. If people want to do their stuff, then they can do it. If people want God not to be in the church, then okay. If they want the church to be a safe place and comfortable, then that's up to them. It's their choice. You can see. You can understand. Go to God about it. All of it. Go to God.